Very pleasant day to you all children. I think you have seen my previous video in which I have focused on dispersion and scattering. Yes. Now let's go into the other part of the lesson. Do you all know what is the window to our heart, children? Okay, what is the pathway to this wonderful world? Yes, that's right. That is the human eye. Let's see some of the amazing facts of the human eye. See children, we register over 90% of total incoming information with our eyes. The human eye can distinguish about 10 million different colors. So amazing, right? Yes, see some of facts about it. Normally, one of your eyes is stronger than the other. Do you know this? Yes, this is the fact. See, you blink about 84 million times a year. So amazing, isn't it? So, let's come to know what is a structure of a human eye and how does it work. Okay children, let's travel into our lesson. So let's see in the journey of our lesson what are the topics we are going to focus on. The images formed by the concave and convex lens, the ray diagrams of the concave and convex lens, that is the ray diagram concerned to all this. Then the structure and the working of the human eye, defects of the human eye. This is what we are going to see in today's class. Okay, see, to begin with, let's start with the lens. You know what is a lens? It is optically a transparent material bounded by two spherical refracting surfaces. See, two types of lenses. We have basically two types of lenses, that is the convex lens and concave lens. Let's see what is the convex lens. Convex lens is the lens bounded by the two spherical surfaces in such a way that the middle part is so thicker, that is the thicker part will be at the middle and the edges are so thinner. You can see this children. Can you see the lens here? Yeah, see how thin it is at the edges and thicker in the middle. Clear children? Yes. The next one is a concave lens. It is the lens bounded by two surfaces, two spherical surfaces in such a way that thinner in the middle and thicker at the edges. So you can see the lens here. Can you see how thick at the edges and very thin in the middle? So this is known as the concave lens. Okay, let's see the other type of convex and concave lenses. See here, this is the convex lens and this is convex on either side. So it is known as a biconvex lens. One side plane, another side it's convex. So it is a plano convex lens and this is a positive meniscus. Same way we have the concave lens also, that is concave lens, biconcave lens, that is concave on either side, then plano concave lens and the negative meniscus. Yes. Now let's see the working of these lenses. Usually whenever the rays falls on this convex lens, what happens? This convex lens converge all the rays at one particular point. Clear? That point is known as the principal focus. Therefore, here this line passing through the principal focus is known as the principal axis. This principal focus always lies on the opposite side of the lens in case of the convex lens. Clear? And this is always convex lens. Whenever the light rays falls on the convex lens, it converges all the rays at one particular point. That is why it is otherwise known as the converging lens. The point at which all the rays are converging, that point is known as the principal focus. Clear children? And the one important point is the principal focus lies always on the opposite side of the lens as the incident rays. Clear? And whenever it lies on the other side of the lens, then that is known as the real. Clear children? In case of the converging lens, it is real. The next one is the concave lens. Concave lens is otherwise known as a diverging lens. Why you know? Because whenever light rays falls on the concave lens, see, all the rays are diverging from it, and all these rays seems to diverge from one particular point. That particular point is known as a focal point, and in case of the concave lens, it is on the same side of the lens as the incident ray. When as it is the same side, it is known as the virtual point. Clear, children? Keep this in your mind. Whenever you have the point on the other side, then it is a real. If you have a point on the same side, then it is the virtual point. Clear? Okay. The next one is now, let's see the other parameters before could we start drawing the images formation. Clear? So first point is, see here, this is known as a center of curvature. What is it? You know pretty well that this convex lens is bounded by a spherical surface. This center is the center of that spherical surface, and R being the radius of that spherical surface. And see, already I told you what is F. F is nothing but the focus, that is the principal focus, or you can call it as a focal point. And A is the optic center, that is the center point of the optical axis of this lens, and the distance between the optic center and the focus is known as the focal length. Clear for you all, children? And the next point is, here I have given you the clear picture of all these things, that is the center of curvature, optical center, radius of curvature, everything. The one important point is the line passing through all these points is known as the principal axis. Yes. Now let's see the rules to be followed before we draw the formation of the images by the convex lens. The rule number 1 is, whenever a light ray passes parallel to the principal axis, and when it falls on the lens, always will pass through the focus. That is a very important point. This is a rule number 1. Rule number 2 is the just opposite, that is a vice versa to this rule number 2. That is, a ray passing through the focus falls on the convex lens, and what will happen? Becomes parallel to the principal axis. So while drawing, we will use either of one, either rule 1 or rule 2. Then the rule 3 is, whenever a ray passing through the optic center, it emerges without deviation, just passes through the optic center. Clear, children? Okay. The next one is, we are going to draw the ray diagram. Children, now you pass my video, go get the notebooks and pencils and get ready to draw the diagram. Clear? We can pass my video and draw the diagrams. First diagram, we are going to start with when the object is at infinity. Now consider the object is somewhere at infinity, and the light rays are coming from the object that falls on the convex lens. What happens? Convex lens? Yes, it converges all the rays at one particular point, isn't it, children? So here you get the image at F2, that is at the principal focus you get. How the image is? It is a point image. You cannot tell anything other than this. The nature of the image you cannot say, but one thing you can say, that it is real image, because you get the image on the other side of the object. Very good. Now let's go into the second position, that is, we are going to keep the object beyond F2F, beyond 2F we are keeping. Now what happens? See, the two rules I told you, either of the first or second and the third rule, isn't it? So the first rule we are going to apply here, a light ray from the object falls on the convex lens and passing through the focus, and the second ray will pass through the optic center. They both meet at one point where you get the image, isn't it, children? Yes. Where do you get the image? Yes, you get the image between F and 2F. You get it between F and 2F. Okay. Now tell me the nature of the image. First nature is, it is real, that we know pretty well, because you get it on the either side. See here, this is the object, and here the object is just upside down, so we take it as a inverted image. Clear? And then see the size of the image. This is big, this is very small, so the image is diminished. Clear children? Now you can draw this diagram by drawing a line with 3 centimeter gap with all these points, and draw a line in the middle point and draw the convex lens. Keep one arrow mark here. Try drawing all this, you will get the image very nicely. Let's try with the second position, that is we are going to keep the object at 2f. What happens here? Once again the light rays from the object goes parallel to the principal axis, falls on the lens and passing through the focus. Second ray will pass through the optic center. Where do they meet? Yeah, they meet at 2f1. Now tell me the nature of the image. Of course it's inverted, it's real, and it is same size. Can you see it is a same size? Yes. Let's try with the next position, that is the object is kept between 2f2 and f2. Here once again 2 rays coming from the object meets at one point. See, where do they meet? They meet beyond 2f. Can you tell me the nature of the image? I am not going to show you. Yes, correct. That is inverted, real. Then it is enlarged because it is very big. Very good. Now tell me the next position where we are going to keep it. Yes, going to keep it at f position. That is with 2 rays from the object comes out of the convex lens. They go parallel to each other. Do you know these 2 rays will meet? Yeah, they meet at infinity. So when they meet at infinity, we cannot predict their nature. So we'll just go to the next position. See the next position here. We are going to keep the object between f and optic center. In such case, see the rays falling on the convex lens goes away from each other. When they go away from each other, we know that of course they will meet at one point. So when you just produce it back, they meet at this point. So here you get the image. See the nature of where do you get it? You get the image on the same side of the object. What is the nature of it? It's erect because it is like a object. So it is erect. When you get the image on the same side, it is virtual and it is so big. So we call it as magnified image. Clear children? Okay. Let's give a quick glance of all these positions. Clear? Okay. Now when you keep the object beyond 2f, you get the image beyond in between f and 2f. See the position 1 and 2. See the image you will get 1 and 2. Smaller than this, inverted, all that you can see to it. Next one, when you keep it at 2f, you get the image even at 2f itself. See 3, you will get the position. When you keep the object between 2f and f, you get the image beyond 2f. See 4 and 5 will be beyond 2f. When you keep it at f, you will not get the image because you get the image only at the infinity. When you keep it between f and the optic center, see children, what happens here? You get 7 and 8 you get the image on the same side, that is 7 and 8. So each of these numbered objects has an image with the corresponding numbers. So this gives the quick glance of all these pictures. Clear children? Now I'll explain you how to show this experimentally. Let's go and see the image setup where you have this is the object and this is the lens with the stand, and here is the screen for you all. Clear? And here I have marked 2f, f2, f1 and 2f, that is the focal length, and twice of the focal length according to the focal length of this convex lens. Okay, now let me keep the object somewhere at infinity. Where will you get the image? Yes, you will get the image at f1. Can you see the point image at f1? Yes. Can you see the point image children? Yeah. Now I am going to keep it beyond 2f. When I keep it beyond 2f, where will I get the image? Yes, I will get the image between f and 2f. Can you see the image here? Yes, see the image? It is real, inverted and it is diminished image. Next, I am going to keep the source at 2f. If I keep it at 2f, I will get it at exactly 2f. Can you see at 2f? See the size of the object and the size of the image are same. Here it is inverted and real image, you get it. Now I am going to keep the source between 2f and f. Yes, where will I get the image? Yes, I will get the image beyond 2f. Can you see the image here, children? So clear, isn't it? See, it is inverted, real, and it is enlarged. Now I am going to keep the source at, or the object at, f position, f2 position. Can you see the f2 position? Yes. Where will you get the image? Yeah, you will not get the image at all, because it will go at infinity. So what happens here? You will not get the image. Now I am going to keep the object between f and the optic center. So where will you get the image? You will get the image on the same side of the object. Can you see the enlarged image, children? Yes, you will see at this part. Can you see it? Yes. This is virtual and magnified image. You can see it, and it is erect. Did you all see the images formed by the convex lens, children? Yes. Let's see the applications of convex lens. Convex lens are used as a camera lenses. They are used as a magnifying lenses also. You would have seen the magnifying lens that I will tell you later on. Okay. They are used in making the microscope, telescope and slide projectors. They are used to correct the defect of the vision called the hypermetropia. When we are talking about this magnifying lenses, what happens here? We have seen when the object is between f and optical center, isn't it? That time you got the magnified image. That is the basic principle of this magnifying glass. Okay. Now we are going into the concave lens. Again, let's give a quick glance of the 3 rules to be followed to draw the ray diagram. The first one is the ray of the light going towards the focus becomes parallel to the principal axis. Clear? And the next one is, the second rule is, whenever a ray goes parallel to the principal axis, it gets refracted and it looks like as if it emerges from the focus. Next one, you know pretty well, a ray of light passing through the optic center goes straight without any deviation. Let's draw the diagram for the concave lens. See, now consider the object is at infinity, so that the rays comes and falls on the concave lens. If they get diverged, when they get diverged, it looks like they are emerging from focus f1. Clear? So here you get the image, and that image is the point image, that is a virtual image. Now you will see the images formed by the diverging lens whenever it is kept just in front of the concave lens. Okay. Here wherever you keep the object, you will get the image just in front of the concave lens. See, the ray, first ray goes from the object, just gets diverted, that is deviated, and here you can see it looks as if it is emerging from f, and second ray passing through the optic center, and here the size of the object is so reduced. See, this is the object and size of the image is reduced here, attitude is its upright, and the location is on the same side as the object is, and the type is, it is virtual. This is how we get the image on the concave lens. Clear, children? Okay. Now what are the applications of concave lens? So the first application is, the concave lenses are used as the eye lenses, as the Galilean telescope, and they are used in the wide angle spy hole in the doors. You would have seen these keeping in the doors. Yes. They are used to correct the defect of vision called myopia. We will discuss this in a video. Okay, children. Now the most important part, that is the magnification of the lenses. Usually these spherical lenses produce the magnification, and we can define this magnification as the ratio of the height of the image by height of the object. Even we can relate it to the distance of the object and the distance of the image. So the magnification also be told as distance of the image by distance of the object. This is for the numerical problem lens. Here the ability of the lens to converge or diverge is called the power of the lens. We know pretty well this. These lenses used to converge or diverge the rays which falling on it. Hence, the power of the lens can be defined as the degree of convergence or the divergence of the light rays. The power of the lens can numerically be defined as the reciprocal of the focal length. The SI unit of the power of the lens is diopter. Clear, children? By convention, usually the power of the convex lens is taken as positive and the power of the concave lens is taken as negative. Clear? Next comes the human eye. That is the most wonderful and sensitive part of a human body, pathway to the wonderful world. As children, let's see into the front view of the eye, where you can see the white part of the eye, isn't it, children? That white part of the eye is known as a sclera, and this is the toughest layer of the eye, and that protects the internal parts of the eye. Next one is the cornea, that is the thin transparent layer of the eye in front surface of the eyeball, that you can see in the front part of the eyeball. Clear? And this is the one which is the most important refracting surface of the eye here. And whenever light rays falls on this cornea, it bends or refracts the light onto the eye lens. Clear? And the next part is the iris. You would have seen this in the most colorful part of the eye. It may be blue, brown or green in color, and for each person it is unique. It has a unique pattern, color and the texture. Clear? And this iris controls the amount of light that enters into the pupil. Now, what is the pupil? That is the centermost part of the iris. That is the pathway of the light on the retina. Now, let's give a good look into the side view of the eye. Can you see here, children? We have already seen what is cornea, what is pupil, what is iris, what is sclera, we have seen. Now, the most important part of the eye is the eye lens, that is a transparent, flexible, jelly-like substance. Clear? And this is convex in nature and fixed between the ciliary muscles on either side, and which adjusts the focal length of this eye lens according to the position of the object. Clear? And the next one is the most sensitive part of the eye is the retina, that lies at the back of the eye, and here only you get the real image you will get on the retina, and you will get the inverted image on the retina. These images are carried by the optic nerves to the brain. Clear? Let's see the working of the eye. So, the light rays from the object falls on the retina, that passes the light rays into the pupil and bends by the convex lens and gets converged at the retina. At retina, you get the real and inverted image. These images are carried by the optic nerve to the brain, where brain senses it as a erect image. It's clear for you all, children? The working is clear. Okay. Now, the power of accommodation. That is, we know pretty well that the ability of the eye lens to focus nearby as well as the distant object, that is called the power of accommodation. How it is achieved? It is achieved by changing the focal length of the eye lens with the help of the ciliary muscles. Okay. Now, what is the persistence of the vision? The if the time interval between two consecutive light pulses is less than 0.1 second, the human eye cannot distinguish them separately. This is called the persistence of vision. Next, you should know two important points, that is the near point and the far point. What is the near point? See, take your reader, children, all of you, in your hand and see the book and move the book until you can see clearly. Now you measure the distance between the book and your eye. How much it is? Can you just pause my video and find out and tell me what is the distance between your eye and the book so that you can read the book clearly? Yes, that is 20 25 centimeter. This 25 centimeter is known as the least distance of distinct vision. That is, the minimum distance required to see the object distinctly without the strain is called the least distance of distinct vision, and this is called the near point. It is 25 centimeter for the normal eye. Next, far point. Now you all just open the window, look through the window till where can you see? That point is the far point, that is the infinity. So the maximum distance up to which the eye can see the object clearly is called the far point, and this is known as the infinity for the normal eye. Okay children, now we are just going into the defects of eye. You would have seen so many people wearing spectacles. Why do they wear spectacles? Yes, they cannot see some of the points in front of them. So, whenever a normal human eye can clearly see the object placed between 25 and infinity. But for some people, the eye loses its power of accommodation. The vision becomes blurred or hazy due to the refractive defects of the eye. Some of the defects we can see here is a myopia, hypermetropia, presbyopia and astigmatism. Let's see what is myopia. This myopia is nothing but otherwise called short-sightedness. That is, a person with this defect can see the nearby objects clearly and can't see the distant object clearly. This is because what happened, you can see this is a normal eye, this is a defected eye. You can see the distance here, this distance is more, that is elongation of the eyeball or the focal length is being increased. So here what happens, as it got elongated, so the rays gets converged at the point in front of the retina. In order to fix this problem, they are using a concave lens. Initially what this concave lens does, it diverges the light ray so that it falls on the lens, which in turn converges the light rays exactly on the retina. So this can be corrected by using a concave lens. Clear children? And the next one is the here the focal length of the concave lens, how we have to fix it, that is we have to find it. Let the person or the myopia eye want to see the distance, can see the distance up to the distance x you consider, and if he wants to see further like infinity, means he has to use the focal length of the concave lens -6. If a person wants to see at a distance just y in essence, he has to use the focal length of the concave lens xy divided by x minus y. Yes. Now see the hypermetropia or long-sightedness or hyperopia. Here what happens, a person can see the distant object clearly, but he cannot see the close by objects. So what is the main reason for this? Here the distance between the lens and the retina reduced, that is the shortening of the eyeball and elongation of the length, increasing the focal length. So what happens here in such case, instead of converging the light rays on the retina, it gets converged at the point behind retina. In order to fix this, we are using the convex lens. Clear children? So here you can see how nicely the apple is forming the image behind retina. In order to fix it, we are using the convex lens, so that see the apple image exactly forming on the retina. Now in order to get the focal length for the convex lens, we have to use the focal length f is equal to small d into capital D divided by small d minus capital D. With this focal length we can get the image clearly. Okay, next one is a presbyopia. Presbyopia is due to the aging. Clear children? Yes, due to aging. Here, as we age, what happens here? The ciliary muscle becomes so weakened so that the lens will become so rigid. What happens because of it? Again, the image forms behind the retina. Clear? So, in order to fix the problem, they are using the convex lens. The eye loses its power of accommodation. In some cases, the person may have both the problem, that is myopia as well as a hypermetropia. In such cases, they have to use the bifocal lens. See here children, can you see this lens? So, convex lenses used the bottom, that is to rectify the hypermetropia problem, and concave lens is fixed on the top of the spectacles in order to rectify myopia problem, so that the person can see both using the same spectacles. Clear for you all? Can you see the distance, the difference between these two? Yes. So the presbyopia, here you can easily see that how it is here, the lens hardened so that by the age and unable to change the shape here, but here it can be corrected using the convex lens. Next is known as the astigmatism. Here the eye cannot see the parallel on the horizontal lines clearly. It is due to the imperfect surface of the eye lens because of the development of cataract on the lens, ulceration of the cornea, or injury to the refracting surfaces. See here children, what happens due to the astigmatism problem, here the images will not form on the retina, it will form on either front or back, so that in order to fix the problem, here we are using the cylindrical lens. Even for the cataract advanced stage, they have to undergo the surgery. They will put a small slit in the cornea. It sounds so scary children? No, it's just a small surgery, with that the person will become alright. Clear children? Yes. Now this is the astigmatism problem, where you can see the misshapen cornea here. Clear for you all? Yes. The next one is, yes, we have come to the end of the lesson. In this lesson we have seen the eye, then the defects of the eye. Based on the principles, I have asked you so many 3 questions in the previous video. Answer for those questions. Name 3 phenomena of the light involved in the formation of the rainbow in the sky. See children, the 3 phenomena: dispersion, total internal reflection, and refraction. And the second question what I asked was, why does the bottom of the swimming pool always appear shallower than actually is? The answer is the refraction of the light at the surface of the water makes swimming pool appear shallower than it really is. The next one is, why does the outer space appear black? Actually we have a multiple answer for this question, but the answer related to our topic is because there are no particles to scatter the beam of light. Hope you all enjoyed this lesson. Now you all go through the lesson, try to get answers for other questions. Thank you children.